Buttonholes can be used in so many different things, not just in garments, but we could even weave ribbon through it. Here's one of the blocks that we do with our Pfaff Stitching Cosmos online course, where we teach you lots and lots of techniques with all these beautiful stitches that you already have on the Pfaff Ambition 620. Now here's a little bit before I show you how to make a buttonhole. See this little ribbon? And you notice it has a decorative stitch in it? I have to tell you, so I was sewing and I knew I needed to do ribbon, but I only had this little tiny 1/4 inch yellow ribbon. It truly was the right color for the quilt, but not what I was hoping for width. So I actually put two pieces of ribbon together and used a decorative stitch to create a wider ribbon to go through for this particular block. So I was always so proud of myself, figuring out a way to utilize what I had at home and not having to run to the store for that perfect ribbon. So let's talk buttonholes. So number one, you do have a ton of buttonholes on the machine. So each one is designed for a different type of fabric or finish or use. So we're going to be working with stitch number 23. That's the more standard one for width and all. 22 is a little narrower. Of course, you would know that if you take the time to stitch out all your decorative stitches like we talk about in your stitch book. Check out the link below this YouTube video on how to make the ultimate stitch book. You've got some fabulous stitches in here that look so much better stitched out. All right, so next, when you choose that particular stitch, it asks for foot number 5. Foot number 5. Make sure that you are holding it so you can read that number, because the part that you actually place the button in is actually in the back side of it. So let's say you have a button that you want a buttonhole with. You're going to take that button, put it into the foot. So I slid this little lever out, place the button in the foot, and close it. So it's going to hold that button while it's actually on the machine. So substitute out, take off your foot. Yes, don't forget, if you have the IDT engaged in the back, you must remove it. And it actually says that on the machine. It shows that it does not have that engaged, just the feed dogs are up. So make sure you disengage it. Trust me, I've seen students try to have that engaged and their foot on. Doesn't work out well, trust me. All right, next, behind your needle threader, reach up. There is a silver kind of lever you're going to pull all the way down. And as it comes down, it sits in between the two white openings. That's going to tell the machine how big of a buttonhole to make based on the button you've put into the back of the foot. So next, you will want to have fabric and stabilizer for this particular option. If your fabric needs some stability, you're going to notice it after you do your first test. So just make sure that you always test when you do this. Next, when you put the foot on, you are going to notice your thread is on top of the foot. Here's what I do. I usually don't try to thread it down through the foot. After you sew one buttonhole, it will find its way out and down there for the next one because of how you cut your thread at the end. But for this one, let's just go ahead. It is going to start here and travel away from you as it goes on the fabric. So just make sure you're starting at the mark closest to you, and then go ahead and stitch. So you can step on the foot control, you can use the start stop button, whatever works for you. I'm going to take a few stitches, clip the thread, and continue to stitch. I don't know why I always feel like I should hold it, but I don't need to. So you're seeing that the machine stitched straight back and then went ahead and turned to stitch the satin stitch over the straight leg, go all the way back. The little paddle back here has engaged to tell it how long it is. Keep your foot on the foot control until it comes to a complete stop. It will do that for you. Little locking stitch. I just heard the scissor button work. That scissor button is integrated into the last stitch of the buttonhole. That's awesome. Lift up the foot, slide it out. I mentioned that thread will come down underneath the foot after your first one is stitched. Look how pretty that is. So cut the thread when you start. And here, if you needed to make 100 of these, all you need to do is have them start all in the same place. So here, let's just see what they look like again, because it's going to do the same size every single time you sew. Oh, I just love that cut at the end. That's brilliant. Thank you, Pfaff. All right, slide it out. Same exact buttonhole as the first one. Now, after you sew a buttonhole, I bet the next video we should do is how to sew the button onto the fabric. Do you know we have a stitch for that? Look for stitch number 29 to do that job.